So we're back to the Stereomaster 2419, which is the repair from the gentleman in Durham. And the first thing we've done now after the turntable is to replace those loudspeakers. So we've got these new loudspeakers in here. You'll notice we've got the blue wires as the negative. We've now added that 10 watt resistor at 2 ohms because these speakers are 8 ohms and the original speakers were 10 ohms. Now I'll just show you one of the original speakers, and as you can see this is totally disintegrated. And this is what happens when they're this kind of age, when they've got the foam surrounds. I don't know whether it's in camera, but we've replaced it with these Vistaton speakers, and hopefully these will outperform the ones which were original and are not too expensive. I thought they were about £12, but they're about 15 plus VAT, which is sales tax for those people outside the UK, which is 20% in this country. So we'll now take the amplifier chassis out, and I'll show you how that's done when we've just put the speaker lids back on. So what I'm now going to do is take the chassis out. I've disconnected the speaker connectors and the record player pickup input. Hopefully the leads are long enough to withdraw the chassis. So I'll take these screws out. I can't remember whether we have to take the knobs off on this chassis or not. So having got the chassis out, and it is just the screws, you don't need to take the knobs off. Not only you've got those connectors on the back, which I've taken out, you've also got a power connector there. So you just need to pop that out. Now we're going to change 4 capacitors in this, which are notoriously unreliable. This does work, but the danger is it goes back to the customer and it doesn't work next week. And it's disappointing when that happens. So what we're going to do, in the amplifier section, there's that capacitor there, and the corresponding one on the other channel is there. They need to come out. C138, I think it says. Yes, C138. Looking on the radio chassis, which again works, that, and that. They're a particular notorious brand, and now, 40 odd years later, they have proved to be very, very unreliable. Mind you, of course, today's products, are they going to last 40 years? I don't know. Whilst the chassis is out, we're going to clean the controls. There's a little slot, we'll be using the service hole switch cleaner. There's a little slot there, and we'll find little slots on the corresponding ones to just pop the spout in and give them a good clean. So I'm going to go in the electronics workshop and do that, and then we'll be popping it back in the cabinet. Okay, so back from the workshop with it, and we've changed the capacitor there and the corresponding capacitor there, and then there was 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'll tell you which numbers those are later on in the video. One of the other things we need to address, oh, birds are going mad, is the headphone socket's being pushed in. So hopefully the current headphone sockets, hopefully the little locking nut will fit, because I'd hate to have to change that, especially with a different kind of switch arrangement. So there we go, that's it so far, and I'm going to put it back in the cabinet. Whilst it's been in the workshop, we've cleaned the front panel, and the rest of the knobs and those knobs, which I've temporarily put on, will go through our company dishwasher. The odd one out, which has lost its cap, I've moved over to the AFC position, and so it looks like it should be like that, even though we know it shouldn't. So I'll put it back in the cabinet. Okay, so we've put the control panel and amplifier back in. We've put a different nut off a new phone socket there. I did just have to put it on the grinder and make it a bit slimmer because there isn't much sticks out of the control panel. I've not put those knobs on. These will go through the company dishwasher. So yes, it's now working.
Message with the word Georgie.
BBC Radio.
We've got it on the left-hand channel and the right-hand channel. Still need to clean these controls. That's not been done yet.
Annie, where are you?
First thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry.
Plenty of treble on that.
Was full of sound.
Can't really demonstrate bass when it's on a table. So there we are, and I'll discuss which capacitors were changed in a moment. So we're just in the workbench in the electronics workshop at the moment. Got the service manual in front of me, and I was just working out what capacitors we actually changed. There's some of the culprits. And when I took that one out, see if we can zoom in on that. You see all that leakage underneath? Well, that proved to be short circuit. So now they're 40 odd years old, they are pretty notorious, those particular types. And going back to that, it's Callens is the brand on that. So that's been replaced. If you look at this, it's 150 microfarads. We've replaced it with 220 because the preferred values have changed over the years. Because you've got a 100% tolerance on electrolytic capacitors, or anything up to a 100% tolerance, it doesn't make any difference. You always need to go higher, so you wouldn't go down to 100, but you would go up to 220. And we've also taken an opportunity, they're 25 volt rated, to increase the voltage. I think it was 40 volts on those. Then the other capacitors, 26, 69, 73, 112, 113, were all 10 microfarads, and they have also been replaced. The capacitor that was which had leaked, is in, let's have a look, is in that location on the amplifier itself. On earlier models you get trouble with these capacitors, but not so on this. I've never changed any of the other capacitors apart from those black 7, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's right. So there we go. And on the location diagram, see if we can show you where those were. It's grid 1F. So yes, 139 is there, and 138 will be on the other side, which it is, it's there. I did upload this circuit diagram onto this website, Scribed, for free use. So any of you who seem to be having difficulty getting the 2419 information, it's a bit of a funny, it's a bit too long to scan. My scanner's A3, so I had to scan it front, reverse, and then the other bit of it like that. So it's ERT service sheet 1919, and the service sheet date is November the 15th, 1975. And one or two other snippets of information which are exceptionally useful. That is the fuses 315 milliamp anti-surge, a 2 amp one, and the two pilot lamps of 14 volts at 0.84 of a watt. They're both the same on this, and they're quite hard to get these days. So if you spot some on eBay, I would just snap them up, because certainly the wholesalers have stopped doing them. And as I said earlier, the loudspeaker should be fitted with these 10 ohms, and so what we've done is to put 8 ohms in and add a 2 ohm resistor just to stop the amplifier being overloaded, which it would be. 8 watts per channel at less than 1% total harmonic distortion. The cartridge on these is a 7103509, and you'll notice that it's a BSRC 142 auto changer, and the original price at that time was £94.30, and that's the time when people were earning about £16 a week, so they were a lot of money. So right, we'll go back to the actual product itself.